Hello everyone, thanks very much for attending today's webinar, which is about Microsoft CoPilot, but we're going to spend 30 minutes specifically talking about Microsoft Excel and CoPilot. I think this one is super exciting because Microsoft Excel is one of those apps that most of us can figure out how to do what we need to do, but there's so much more. There's like always something to learn in Excel, or you might spend a lot of time troubleshooting. With CoPilot and Microsoft Excel, things become so much easier, and I think you're going to see, if you use this, you may save yourself hours of time. It definitely has for me. So welcome. I'm excited to talk about the topic. This is also being recorded, so you'll be able to check this out. So certainly follow up with Virtual IT on that. And we're also all available here from Virtual IT, me from Knowledge Wave, Dan from Knowledge Wave, to answer your questions. So if you've got any questions along the way, please use the question panel that you'll see. And you'll also have materials, like a resources area. You could also download an Excel practice file if you want to follow along with what I'm doing, or try it out when you get CoPilot if you don't have it yet. So I just want to make people aware of that. But we're going to get started right away. One of the first things I want to do is kind of ties to what I was just asking. And that is, are you currently using CoPilot? Just curious. Today we're going to be talking about mostly that you have, or if you have a Microsoft 365 CoPilot or the Pro one. But basically, let me bring this up so we can all see. Basically, not yet the free one, which is awesome, but even more awesome in a way, actually. If you have a Microsoft 365 CoPilot or Pro one, which looks like 27% of you have one, 20% have the free one, and 53% not yet. 6% have said I have it, but have no idea how to use it, which is a lot of times that's the case. So I think it's really cool to have this kind of webinar available, because CoPilot does things a little differently than ChatGPT or other chat type AI tools that you might have. I'm going to show you how you can integrate it really nicely into things like Excel. All right, I'm going to just close this poll, and you should be able to see my screen. And there we go. So again, if you've got questions, let us know. We're available. So we'll go through what is CoPilot, how does it integrate with Excel. I'm going to show you the best way to navigate CoPilot within the Excel environment. You can use this in the web browser if you want to. Today I'm going to show using the full version of Excel. It's a little bit more powerful, and a lot of you are likely already in Excel, and then you can connect to CoPilot in there. There's some kind of tips and tricks for navigating, some things you should set yourself up for success with. Then we're going to go into some cool stuff that we can do with CoPilot, like summarizing data, transforming data, cleaning it up. You can visualize it. That means you can create charts. You can even create pivot tables and pivot charts. So if previously you didn't know how to do that, if you just ask CoPilot to do it, that's awesome. And then we'll go through some cool prompts. I have some examples that might be helpful. And before I actually do some of the demo, we have just some things to think about. Kind of like, did you know? A lot of times people don't know this. If you have this for work, so those of you, the 6%, I have it but have no idea how to use it, think about the cool things you can do with this. If you need insights, CoPilot can create pivot tables any way you want, really, and then charts to visualize that data. By the way, I use CoPilot to come up with the images on these slides. Also, for data analysis, if you have just lots of data, it doesn't make sense, it's raw, you're just looking at it, have no clue where to start. You could probably figure it out, spend hours, but you can also just have CoPilot analyze it. When CoPilot's analyzing your data, since you're using Microsoft 365 with it, the security is there, the grounding to all the policies and all the permissions that you have within your company. They're all honored by CoPilot, and they're secure. So you would not want to copy paste your actual, like here, Sarah needs to present quarterly financials. Copilot can create that stuff, but Sarah would not want to copy paste that into the free version of Copilot or into ChatGPT or something like that. When we have the subscription, it stays inside of our organization, so it's secure. So that's an important part. But highlighting key trends, analyzing your stuff that could have taken you hours before, save yourself a lot of time. Also, formulas can be really complicated, complex, and there are some new formulas and functions, rather, that you can use in Excel. So if you're not familiar with them, like maybe you want to learn more about XLOOKUP, or you're seeing these functions kind of pop up, just ask Copilot, and then you can automate that. So maybe you want to forecast something. I think in the example I have for the demo, we're going to see what it would look like for forecasting if everybody got a 5% raise at this company. Kind of create a new column for that just to see what that looks like. So this is going to be accurate. Keep in mind though, sometimes AI will make a mistake. I regularly have arguments with Copilot about different ways to do things. Sometimes it's just for fun, but other times something that I'm asking just won't work the way Copilot's saying to do it. So I'll just try again. A lot of times you can regenerate things, but once you lock it in and it's accurate, then you really can save yourself a ton of time. Here's an example of one that I did previously just to capture some screenshots. Had a bunch of data, and in the Copilot chat, I said, create a chart showing salaries by department. That's what we're going to do, by the way, in the demo. And you can see in white, it wrote back, I created a chart showing total salary by department. It gives me a little information. I can copy that text, which is good because if I was presenting on this, I might paste that into a PowerPoint or something. And then it gave me this chart here that I can add to a new sheet if I want to. And then I can do whatever I want. But instead of messing around, I said, well, can you just make it a pie chart? Maybe that's what the people on your stakeholders want to see. Just ask. And sometimes if you just ask and it can't do it, it'll tell you. And that's fine. Then you can try a different way. Once you start interacting with Copilot, you're using natural language with AI. It's pretty fancy, actually. So then it went in, created a pie chart, and gave me that information. So initially, when you go into Excel, you're going to see options for different types of things you might want to use Copilot for in Excel. So creating, you can add formulas, you can add columns, you can highlight things, you can, instead of trying to find the button somewhere on the ribbon in a tab, you can just ask Copilot, and just if you need to better understand it. So there's like data, we kind of get information from that data, and we can take it a step further and get insights when we use Copilot, which is awesome. So let's take a look. This file that I'm in Excel now, this is available for download, by the way, during this webinar if you want to try it. And this is all fake data, by the way, not actual salaries. But say I've got this, and it's a range. This isn't a table or anything. It's just a formatted range with headers, and there are no blank rows or columns. So Excel and Copilot like it when things are a little neater. Of course, if it is just a mess of raw data, it can do that. You just have to kind of work through those steps as if you would do it completely on your own. But I'm going to just click inside here, and right now this file is actually just saved on my desktop. So this isn't really going to work with Copilot. So a couple things to set yourself up would be, well, first of all, on the Home tab, we see the Copilot icon right there. So it's going to use the power of AI to explore your data, but it's only going to work with files that are on your OneDrive or on SharePoint. If you don't do it through the Excel app like this, you could copy this range and paste it maybe into the Teams Copilot or the Copilot Microsoft 365 Copilot website, as long as it's in your organization, and it'll help you for a file you don't have saved in the cloud. But ideally, I'm just going to point out, don't put stuff on your desktop. That's not going to be backed up by default. You want to put it in the cloud. So if I just click Copilot, if I don't realize that it's not even in my OneDrive or anything, it's going to say, well, autosave is turned off and I only work when autosave is on. It's very particular, right? So then if I turn on autosave, clicking the button or can see autosave up on the top left. Let's turn it on, and then it's going to say, well, you can't use autosave unless you, if you don't put it on your OneDrive. Like, okay, so I'll put it on my OneDrive. It uploads it. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, but CoPilot in Excel. So here we go. This is what I was talking about before. And these will change. Sometimes these will update, give other suggestions. This is kind of all a real-time area. Everything is really based on like suggestions. And just for the navigation part I was talking about, once you get this CoPilot, it really is a chat. You can even look at your chat history if you had worked on this file previously. So we'd see that populate as we go. And there are some suggestions because it's looking at your data already and giving some ideas. So basically from here, you can either click on one of these and it will do some automatic stuff. I just said create formulas, suggest a formula column. It's just doing its little thing, looking at the range A1 to A51. You could do this with a table as well. That works. I kept it as a range to keep it most basic at first. This one's taking a minute. I didn't expect, oh, there we go. So this is saying, well, if I look at A1 to F51, here's a new formula column. So years of service, this is a suggestion. It's going to tell us how many years they've been with the company. And it's basically taking their start date and today's date. It's using date diff. That's awesome. And it's using an absolute reference just on the E column, but not on the row. It's using Y format for today. This is great. You could have figured this out, Googled it, spent half an hour trying to figure out how to get years of service added. But this is cool. So I'm just going to choose insert column and check it out. It did it. And if I double click, the formula is actually in there using that function. Actually, two functions, date diff and today. So tomorrow, that wouldn't change to 10 unless it was right on the edge. But this can be certainly formatted, not as dollars. Let's go back to general. There we go. But that will update as time goes on because it's live. And that's great. So it doesn't just give you the answer. It actually tells you what it's doing. It gives you the function. And sometimes if it's not right, actually it says it right here, AI generated content may be incorrect. So if something's wrong, if it's just absolutely off, just hit the thumbs down. But if you love it, you can thumbs up. It's going to ask you to give feedback. They really do watch those. You'll see this evolve. It's evolved in the little over a year that we've been using it in pretty amazing ways. So there we go. Done. I inserted it. I love it. So that was pretty easy. I didn't have to try to figure out which function to use. And I got something that's interesting. So I'm going to scroll up. That was just an example of clicking one of these. So it will use Python, by the way, for deeper analysis. And you can even, if you don't want it to do it for you, you can just ask, hey, how do I sum values based on this criteria? And it will guide you through. So it's great for the formatting, adding columns, things like that. But maybe we want to do some additional stuff. Scroll over. And anytime you click on something, right? So if I select this, you may see a little CoPilot icon pop up. Now, what that used to be was the quick analysis button, but it's kind of been taken over by CoPilot. So you'll see the green CoPilot icon, or you can use Control Q. So if I'm going to press Control Q, and it gives me some awesome formatting with live preview options. For conditional formatting, see the formatting tab. For charts, it will actually create charts with a live preview. So I can pick. And then totals. So it'll do, like, if I scroll down, you would see that better. I'm going to press Control Q again. If I do totals, it actually puts them in for me. And if they're not relevant, I can just delete it from there, which is awesome. You can do different tables. It'll create a pivot table for you and give suggestions. So if you don't know how to do a pivot table, you can make one. Just a couple, like 2 clicks. And then spark lines, those are kind of cool sometimes, which are added for like within, it would probably be within a date. So these are all things that you could certainly spend time figuring out, find them, but using CoPilot, when you see that icon just pop up, this also says get more suggestions from CoPilot. And if you do that, it actually launches this tab, this panel that we already had. So pretty cool. So let's say we want to format this a little bit differently. Like here's start date. I'm going to say, I'm just going to type in here, tell it what to do. So we'll say, please, I like to say please, format all dates as YYY Y dash, we'll do MM dash DD. So I want it to be year dash month dash day. I'm going to just leave it like that and hit send. You can get very wordy with your prompts, but sometimes just keeping it simple can actually be helpful. So this is saying, okay, it's very agreeable. Looking at this, there are two changes. So apply a date format and start date and then auto fit. Yes. Apply. And it did it. That's cool. So now we've got a custom format. So go in here just to kind of show. It did a custom format in the way that I wanted. So that means I did not have to figure out the custom formatting I wanted. Google it. Go in, figure this all out with custom formatting. I just said, hey, please do this. And it did it. Please format all the dates this way. Apply. Now, it gives these really cool suggestions on the bottom, like bold the top 10 values in the ID column. That's kind of cool. Click that. And you'll see some of these names change. So top 10, bold, black, yep. Apply, and it says done. I made the changes. So there we go. Check it out. Those are in bold. That's awesome. So that must have been sorted already a little bit. Oh, idea wouldn't be as exciting as something like date or something. But again, just kind of a cool example. So if you have extra spaces, imagine you need to clean up some data, just ask it. Now, we use one of the cool options earlier. It's suggestions to get years of service. So let's say, we could also say just write a formula. So it might give us a different result. Instead of typing it, I'm going to paste it in. So write a formula to calculate each employee's tenure in years using today's date. Similar to the its suggestion earlier. And while that's doing that, I'm going to just mention you can also use it for, sorting, filtering. You can say, show me all the employees in the sales department earning more than $50,000, and it'll show you in a table just those. You could say, create a pivot table from that data, showing salary by department. That might work well for you as well. So this actually used the same one, which I found interesting. Other times I've seen it use different functions to achieve the same thing. But here, if I click, I can show explanation. So if you're thinking, I have no idea what date diff is, this will give you some more context and give you an example, and then you get a live preview even. So that's cool. That was consistent. Sometimes it's not. I'm just being realistic about it. It's AI, so you still have to know this stuff, or at least understand how it works. But as you can see, this is pretty powerful. So let's say I'm going to do this prompt. I'm going to summarize. Let's just see what we get. When I say summarize key salary insights, including the highest, lowest, average salaries by department. I'm just going to click send. That previous one took a minute, didn't it? So sometimes it goes fast. That was really fast. It even made us a chart. So this is saying, hey, check it out. The highest average salary is consulting. The lowest is executive assistant. And here's a table. All right, let's add that to a new sheet. And there I have sheet 1. I'm probably going to call this one, and double click salary insights. And there we go. I have a pivot table. And you can see the field list and a pivot chart and all these analysis tools where I can go in and just create stuff. I could have even asked it to create a slicer for me. But now we have, I mean, that took, 10 seconds, having this nice interactive chart. Just create it for me. And go back to HR. Now, I did put some other tabs in here, by the way, if you want to try some of this out on your own. So I'm going to do, the other one that I was talking about was like some of the insights, like predictive and what if analysis type stuff. It could be just something in natural language. Like I'm going to just paste this in here. Say if every employee got a 5% raise, what would their new salaries be? So it doesn't always have to be technical. You could just have a thought and say it. It forgives you if you have typos too, which is cool. All right, so check it out. This is saying, looking at your data, new salary, this is 1.05. So it's saying column F, row 2 times 1.05. Here's the explanation. Pretty straightforward on that. Gives a little preview, and then I can just insert it, and I do get a live preview if I want. Done. So excited. All right, so I'm going to just say, please format new salary as currency. And it's going to just let me know what it's about to do. Click apply, and there we go. So as you can see, totally saves having to go up and try to find the stuff in here, create custom ones. So that can be helpful whenever you need to do any type of formatting, especially with numbers. So if we went to like this parts area, this is one column called parts, and maybe it's got the part number, and then it has what it is, and there's a colon in between. So I could just say, please separate I'm going to just do ABC dash just to give a little context. 1, 2, 3, 4 type. Also eliminate the colon. Let's just see what it does. It may get confused. I tried this earlier and it worked. So this is saying, oh, here's a formula that you could do, left, and it's saying, this is actually really cool. It's saying, go to the left and find the colon and then move over one and then go to the middle and take the length. This is awesome. So what it's doing is basically allowing us, in this case, to copy the formula, and then I could just go paste it. So here's the prefix. I could copy that down. Look, I pulled them all out for me. And then here, I'm just going to copy this one, paste. Oh, cool, that's a description. Copy that down, move it over. I think I just saved myself like 20 minutes just now. We could even pull that prefix out and then have the number. I'm just suggesting, as you can see, it'll either do it for you or explain it and then give you an opportunity to just copy paste, saving you tons of time. Okay, I'm gonna go one last part here. It doesn't always have to be, inserting charts and analyzing. You can also use, so in this example, basically use the len function is what it's ultimately going to do. But let's say you have a list of, using LinkedIn as an example, and these are some skills that you might have and you want to put them there, but you want to make sure they're not too long. So we could basically just say analyze. Oh, you know what? This might, let's try this out. It said, analyze this column and calculate how many characters are in each skill. And this is what it was going to tell me. I can't identify the structure. So double check. It wants more than one column usually. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm just going to type it in. I could ask it, can you do a len function in column C? But I'm going to just do len b3 and copy this down. Maybe I have this started. So these are all, this is a character count. So like 54 or 78. Maybe 78 is too long. 99 is way too long. So I could say something like, please shorten the description for any skill, or I'm going to say any cell in B column that has more than 60 characters. Now this approach might not work, which is fine, but I'm going to say, please shorten this to under 60 characters. Let's see if it's going to work for me. Little troubleshooting at the end. So this is saying, well, it's not going to work. And part of this might be because it's a range. So if I want to make it a table, make it a table, please. So we got to see really how easy it was at the beginning, right? Going through, asking some kind of preset stuff I had set up. But this will tell you, I can't help you with this. And it'll say, well, to convert it on your own. So I think this chat might be getting a little confused. It will do it sometimes for you. But no problem, we would just Control T and then make it a table. Oh, you know what? It's confused by the blank stuff. I get it now. Anyway, I would suggest trying to make it a table. There we go. That's what we want. But take some time, go through. If you don't have CoPilot yet, you could go to the website and you could use the free one for this stuff. This is all fictional. So if you want to go in and say, I've got this data set, how can I get this to work? It will guide you through. So for those of you who just are excited to maybe try it out, that approach might work best. So anyway, thank you so much. We've got, if people have additional questions, let us know. But Mike, Brad, thank you so much.
Yeah, so I haven't seen any questions come in, but we can give people just a couple of minutes yet. I still have a few things to close out, but John, thank you for running us through that. I know this is one that we've been looking forward to doing for quite a while now. I hope everyone that joined us found something useful to take away. I know I've used it in the past to write some formulas and that I would normally struggle with, and it ended up saving me a bunch of time. Like you mentioned earlier, though, John, it's not perfect, and so if you are using CoPilot for anything, whether it's creating reports or writing formulas or anything, you do need to take a trust but verify kind of approach, just to make sure that you're catching any mistakes, almost like a new employee.
That's funny. That's true. It was good to do a little of that troubleshooting at the end, because there's no need to panic if it can't figure it out. Just ask a different way or walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, somebody does have a question. So with the desktop version of the files, they're required to be in OneDrive. Yeah, if you want to integrate an Excel file or Word or PowerPoint or any file within the app, like the full Excel Microsoft 365 apps, they do have to be in SharePoint or OneDrive. I would probably use OneDrive, and you could even create a folder in there that has like CoPilot files if you wanted to. But if you don't want to put it in OneDrive, or maybe you're not using OneDrive, then you would want to go either to the Microsoft365.com website, which is going to have CoPilot there, or if you're using it in Teams, you'll see the CoPilot chat, and you could just paste it in there if you wanted to. Although, not the file. If you paste a file into Teams, it's going to put it on your OneDrive automatically. But yeah, I would just copy paste.
Excellent. Well, just a reminder for everybody, this webinar was recorded today. So once we have the recording finished and uploaded to the resources page on our website, we'll make sure to send a link out to all of you. For any of the virtual IT customers out there, remember that our help desk does take how do I questions. So if you're looking at CoPilot and something doesn't look right, you even if we don't have the answer right away, we'll work through it with you. So definitely call into the help desk. Our next webinar will be CoPilot for Microsoft Teams on April 9th. So keep an eye out for an email or postcard invitation for that over the next few days. And I think that's it, unless we have any other questions. Just want to thank everybody again for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of the day. And we'll see you all on April 9th for CoPilot in Teams.